On this day in musical history, November 5th, 1966, the Monkees had their first #1 song. Last Train to Clarksville.
I love the Monkees.
Did you shove like toilet paper in my headphones?
Oh, yeah,
it's very
muty.
Can anyone hear me?
Very
it's
muty.
important that I'm heard. I have things and opinions.
Very important that I'm. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, 1966, their first #1 hit.
Didn't Jimi Hendrix open for them?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That
funny.
seems contrary.
I love that song.
And our guest made it. We need to get our guests the cruise apps.
Yeah. Oh, I think if he had Cruise Up, he'd be here. Yeah,
Simon,
quicker.
hello. You got to lean right
Right
into
up to that
You gotta
microphone.
right in.
I can't hear him.
What a great.
Yeah.
Woo!
On a technical
Happy Monday,
level,
everybody.
things are going
Wait,
great.
what?
You know-
It's not?
And it's all because we didn't take the cruise app.
Are you deliberately taking my voice out because I'm English? Could that
Yeah,
could
that's
that be
it. We are
We hate charming things on this show.
charming,
We do.
awesome things on the show. No, Simon, if you had taken this blue and white cruise app, your life would have been so much easier. Listen, let me introduce you to the cruise app. Hold on.
Introducing the Twin Cities' newest transportation app, Cruise. C-R-U-Z, with no surge pricing ever.
Cruise to that brewery.
Cruise to that concert.
Cruise to that ball game.
Cruise home from that party.
I like Tom Cruise.
No kidding. I do. Sensing a pattern? Cruise. That's C-R-U-Z, the new app that saves you money with no surge pricing ever. Book in advance and save even more with Cruise. Download the Cruise app. Follow him on Twitter @TimeToCruise to get weekly ride discounts.
Whenever you booze, use Cruise.
Download Cruise right now on iOS or Android.
That's right, Simon. Whenever you booze, you cruise. All right. So here we go. We got lots to talk about on this show today. The Uber guy, the guy who beat up the Uber driver.
Yeah.
He's now said, that wasn't me, and he's apologizing.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Donald Trump.
Well, why is he apologizing? Well, no, we'll get to it. Why is he apologizing if he said it wasn't him? Okay.
Donald Trump, of course, still scheduled to be on Saturday Night Live, but there were protests last night. The new Bond movie is set to open. It already opened, the biggest movie opening ever in England. You've heard of England, right, Simon?
I've heard of that place. Yeah, small country.
Yeah. Yeah, we kicked their ass.
I think they're getting electricity within the next couple
Lots
months.
to talk about. Justin Timberlake at the Country Music Awards last night.
What?
He killed it. Anyway, let's get this show started, shall we? Let's do this.
Congratulations. You found the Twin Cities hit show.
Very well. Where do I begin?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
You're lucky to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Reach for this one.
And now, a real hit show.
I feel so free. I feel free. I feel free.
Live from the Twin Cities.
But why would you do that? Why would you do that?
It's the Twin Cities hit show.
Oh, no, ma'am. No. No.
Coming to you live from the Alive and Social Network studios.
You are nasty. Gutter butt. Try. Both of y'all. I try. Y'all are nasty. You're nasty. You're going to hell. You are going. Oh, no. Oh, no, ma'am. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Ooh, not that reggae show. No.
And now,
Colleen.
let's get this hit
That was
show.
Whoopi
You were having a rough
Goldberg.
night.
No.
Whoopi Goldberg's Oscar award
No.
winning.
That's my response.
So we're not the only ones who have a podcast. There are other people, I guess, in the world that
No.
have radio, internet.
Impossible.
Ours is heard around the world.
Yeah.
Got a whole list of countries. India, England even, Canada. This
Swahili. We're
the
huge.
person
Swahili.
you heard in the opening,
Yeah.
B. Scott. He was born a dude. Now he's a lady.
Oh.
Okay.
And that was his reaction, not to the show. Could have been.
To-
2 girls in a cup.
Oh.
Way to be topical.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really
I'm
current.
glad he's on top of it.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah. We'll have B. Scott standing by to listen to the show and give her response at the end of the show.
Oh, no.
Did you see the
Oh,
Kermit?
no.
Did you
Stop
see the
it.
Kermit the Frog one? on the old reaction videos back in the day? They show it to Kermit the Frog.
Really?
He's like, oh, what's that? Oh, God! No! And then he grabs the lotion when he thinks no one's looking. And then it cuts to black.
God.
Kermit.
You can't see that anymore, can you?
I never saw it.
You've never seen it?
Oh,
No,
God.
I mean, you tell me. I
Oh.
don't need to.
I heard
know
that.
what it is.
I heard the parts that were staged, but who cares? It's the
Staged
most
with what?
disgusting.
It wasn't all human poo.
Yeah,
It was-
that's exactly. It was.
Oh,
It was mixed.
wow. I don't need to see
It's-
that.
Oh, boy.
Have you notice the English guys refraining from being involved in this conversation? It's a very diplomacy of the Brits.
Have you seen it, Simon? I know we're like...
Well, my mum might be listening back in England. I don't know if I should admit to seeing that.
Wait a minute, she's not.
Don't worry.
Well, I'll tell you what.
She's technology savvy. She is.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We're heard in over 45 countries. We
Ever-
have the we have the analytics. It shows who's listening, and yeah.
It's 5 hours ahead. Have her call in. I'll give her the studio line.
So how'd you end up in Minnesota? First, where are you from?
Well, I'm from a town called Reading, which is about 40 miles west of London. So it's equivalent. I always say it's equivalent of Minneapolis to Chanhassen.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I met my wife in an Irish bar in Australia back in 2003.
Okay.
And the rest, they say, is history. Minneapolis women or Minnesota women always want to come back.
Yeah.
There is that draw. They can't leave more than 200 miles of Minnesota.
And how did that conversation go? Was it easy? Sure. Or was it, are you kidding me?
Well, I think it took 6 years to convince me to come over. So yeah.
Was she in Australia
She
living?
was studying in Australia, and I
Okay.
was visiting a friend of mine was living in Sydney. So,
Okay.
Being a Brit, we travel, colonise. That's the thing to do. I went over there and was visit him and drunk in a bar, and yeah.
Now, there's so many different styles of, I guess, was it dialects of English, the English accent?
Yes.
I prefer this. This is my preferred.
Well, see, I don't talk with the Downton Abbey. There's a Downton
I
Abbey
don't
style.
like that.
Yeah, I'm very much your
Cockney.
the Cockney.
I prefer
London.
it.
Working
I love
class.
it.
Working class, yeah.
Piece
Oh,
of garbage.
I like that.
The Dick Van Dyke Mary Poppins?
That's how I sound.
But it's a little
governor.
softer than
Say
that.
governor.
It's a little.
So it's really interesting because when I come here, people really like the accent. But back in England, I sound like I should be earning $5 working at McDonald's.
Yes.
But yeah.
No, it sounds very erudite and proper to us.
Oh,
Cheerio.
There's the laid back properness to it, though. That's what I prefer.
Yeah.
The real stuffy.
Yeah.
Gets
Yeah.
a little stuffy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
unapproachable, but I want to have a beer with you.
How many times do you hear, hello, governor?
Not so much. I normally get.
Dang, that's what I do. That's my go-to. Where are you from? Oh, hold on.
Why does that
Hello,
not surprise me?
It's my go-to.
Do you want to hear an eagle impression?
I do it to actually at the fishing opener all the time to Dayton. Hello, governor. Yeah, he has security.
He climbs under the boat.
Yeah. So what do we got? What do you do? What's your gig? What's your profession?
So I do. Well, back in England, I worked in law enforcement. I used to specialise in organised crime and terrorism, and here I actually have a consulting business. Kingswood
You were on the
Security
good side, though, right?
I was on the good side. Yeah.
Okay,
so, yeah,
good.
yeah.
Or, he organized
Specialized in
terrorists.
terrorism.
He organized them.
I think we say the right side of the law. Is what
Okay,
is
good.
what we
All
say.
right, all right. Go on.
And so I have a consultancy business here, Kingswood Security and I work with small, medium, large-sized corporations. And last year, I've actually been getting lots of church security, which is very prevalent right now. So.
And there's that many issues here in Minnesota, or you travel to do this job?
No, not saying there's issues in Minnesota. There's issues across the world, but predominantly my business is Minnesota-based. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I can think maybe Mall of America would be a big customer.
Yeah, well, Mall of America is a place that I worked when I actually first came across it. I was in charge of counter-terrorism there as a...
I thought you worked at Lids.
Well, yeah.
That's a hat store.
Yeah.
Orange Julius. There's the $5 an hour job.
Well, I always say to people that there's one running joke. I'm the whitest black person you'll ever meet. So, like tennis shoes and lids, I don't even know what they are.
My favorite kind of black person.
Yeah.
I feel so safe.
Oh, my God.
I wear like tweed and flat caps and stuff, you know. It really confuses people. It's like, wait, you're black? You've got an English accent and stuff, you know.
I suppose. Do you have phone customers that you meet in person? They go, I'm sorry, where's Simon?
Yeah, sometimes it does confuse people. I mean...
Just a word of warning, I'm black. But can we continue with the contract?
I'll tell you a really funny story. So my in-laws live in St. Bonifacius, which is way out.
Oh,
way
yeah.
out
St.
west.
Bonnie, we call it.
Yeah, St. Bonnie. And they've only got I think they've got 2 bars now, one burnt down, but I was doing karaoke there one time and had a pink shirt on, was wearing a cowboy hat, doing karaoke.
Oh, Jesus.
And the guy running it actually said, you're a black guy, English accent, in St. Bye doing karaoke. He's like, I've got to take a picture of you.
Yeah, everything's wrong.
And the photo was behind the bar for like 3 years
I think
until the
that's
bar
like
burnt
one
down.
of the signs of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I think is what that
I mean,
is.
we could handle Hootie and his
Yeah.
blowfish, but this...
Oh, you're
Let's
blowing,
see.
you're
We
blowing
have-
my mind.
We have frogs raining, and we have a black dude wearing a pink shirt and a
the
cowboy.
4th horseman of the apocalypse.
So, Simon, do you have inside information or opinions on the Russian airplane then that went down?
Yeah, I mean, those type of big incidents, they're always difficult to really categorise because everyone is always going to claim the publicity for it because it's such a big, such a big thing. I mean, whether you're involved or not involved, Al Qaeda was accurate saying you always want to claim publicity. The IRA back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even if they weren't involved, they would claim publicity for it. What I can say and what I do know is that ISIL is such an incredible machine. They really are. If you take Al Qaeda were most probably 1.0, ISIL are 2.0. They're really writing the script for everything. In relation to marketing, the operational side, the business entities that are involved in the terrorism, they're a large corporation on all fronts. So, do they have the capacity to do something like that? Absolutely. Did they do it? Was it another terrorist organisation? For that, I don't know, but I could say they're definitely capable of doing that.
How did that happen? How did they get so organized and business savvy and marketing? For God's sakes!
Well, a lot of it. I mean, they. If you take a new word is transnational organised crime. So terrorists used to be involved in terrorism, ideologies surrounding terrorism. Organised criminals were involved in organised crime. What you actually started to get with transnationals actually merging them together. So
great.
Organised criminals can't really trust anyone because they don't know who these people are, and terrorists don't want to trust anyone because they've got their own ideology. You put those two together, and you find people like the IRA are going to South America to train people in, guerrilla warfare, in explosives, those type of things. You've got Hezbollah in the Middle East that are actually going to strong parts of South America to train there. So it's a real crossover of organisations now. It's very frightening.
Yeah, you mentioned the word frightening. You're scaring me. Should we be scared? Is shit getting worse or better?
I wouldn't say it is getting worse. Large parts of these things they've always existed. I mean, I could tell you horror stories of how the RA used to operate. What is actually happening is that with the social media, as we're on now, we're becoming more aware, more savvy surrounding what some of these things are doing, and actually the criminals are using some of these technologies against us to scaremonger and produce a propaganda.
Yeah,
and
I tell you what,
bringing young guys in.
Yeah.
I get so much when I teach a class on terrorism, and I have
again on the
you
good
teach-
side or
on the good side. The
But
good
you
side.
teach a class in everything.
I do, I know.
I teach a class.
His
Jack of all
Lamaze
trades. I do.
class is horrible,
Just do
though.
Actually, it's not. You should take it.
You're
this
not
would be
supposed
good
to
for
use
you.
a taser in Lamaze.
It was a missed opportunity.
All things are anyway. So, but I have a list of terrorism people I follow, and not some experts, but some like this American mujahideen that was tweeting all. He's since been killed, but I mean they'll tweet live. We just killed this guy. Here's whatever, and it's incredible the amount of information these people are putting out and what you can follow. It's absolutely frightening.
Do you think there'll be another 9/11 event here in the United States?
Do I think that? No.
Good.
Is it possible? Yes.
Odds are not as good, though, these days.
Well, large parts of these things. I mean, if you take a lot of these guys, there's reasons why. Why haven't Al Shabaab? So they're recruiting all these Somalis are being indoctrinated, whatever you want to say it is, from the Minnesota, Minneapolis community, and they're going back to Africa to fight. Why hasn't there been an attack by Al Shabaab on the homeland? Large parts is because these people are living in squalor, they're living in caves, they're living in a third world country, and security experts like me, it's difficult to track these people down for organisations to use covert tactics against them. It's very difficult to get someone on the ground to understand what they're doing. So they like to hide behind your nominality, and they like to hide in some of these places as opposed to actually come to the US.
Don't you think that a reason that there probably won't be another 9/11 is because no one was more surprised at how successful that was more than
They were.
They
Yeah.
were. I mean, I think that was just one of those things. Like to think both those towers were coming down, that blew
Yeah.
their mind.
They were hoping for a single, and
Yes.
they hit a
Yeah.
bases loaded
Yeah.
grand slam.
I don't think they even planned for the tower to come
and,
down necessarily.
And don't you think my thought is that something that's going to come next, which I think is even more terrifying, is the soft targets of schools and camps and movie theaters, those kind of things.
Well,
And-
Americans are pretty much handling that part themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
We
let's
don't
go
need
shoot up a
any help.
school.
Yeah, and the simple, the real sad part is, I mean, in the last 3 or 4 attacks, generally it's been, can all the Christians stand up? Or the Muslims towards back, kind of the segregation of people in, whether you're in a school or in a place of worship. It's very simple. I mean, Chuck would tell you, 2 or 3 years ago, Al Qaeda have their magazine Inspire, and it was all about, just get in your car and just run over a Westerner. It's easy, just get a gun and just kill someone. One is the same as killing, 6,000 like 9/11. So
well, it's kind of like what's going on in Israel right now with
Yeah.
the Palestinians coming over and just stabbing people randomly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
scary. I would stay home. I mean, that's terrifying.
That's happening in my cousin's town in Israel, and the bus that he rides is one where they had a bunch of attacks and killed.
Speaking of stabbing, look at CNN. Ben Carson. I once tried to stab a friend.
Interesting story.
What the hell? Keep that to yourself. Fortunately, it's turning out that evidently he's a liar, and that never happened.
Breaking news: Ben Carson stabby.
My temper was pathological. Do you want to be president? Shut your mouth.
So Colleen had been talking before you walked in about your take on guns, having
really?
been law enforcement as an unarmed law enforcement officer.
you guys are going controversial today, aren't you?
Yeah,
Well,
really.
you
How do you
know,
feel about
yeah.
abortion?
What do you think about gay marriage? What's your opinion?
I guess my answer depends on whether I want my neighbours to come round and attack me for saying that guns should be outlawed.
Here.
What
I'm with Simon.
Let me mute Rusty for this
mute
conversation.
Rusty, yeah. Maybe mute me. What I would say in relation to guns is that I think, in England, well, I'll take it to the basic level in England. That, all guns are outlawed, bar antiques and some hunting rifles and shotguns. What you do have, if you want a shotgun, is it has to be licensed, and someone actually has to come round to your house and say, okay, where are you keeping your shotgun, Chuck? Where are you going to store it? And then also
In my mouth. I'm not feeling well.
Well, that was going to be my second point. The second point is they'll look at the mental stability. Does the person have a criminal record? What's their mental history? And you can get disclosure on some of those records. Then they'll decide if you're actually a fit person to have that firearm. Over here with the ATF, could they really handle that type of that level? I doubt it, but does it need to happen? Most probably yes. As opposed to a bank giving away a free gun and saying, open a checking account and you get a free gun. There should be more tighter controls on them.
What about the citizens now in England? Do they have them, and they're just not upfront about it? And I've heard, and I could be wrong, is there kind of a push now, a surge of them wanting guns because of there's the streets, the people getting stabbed and slashed, beheaded in the streets? Is there a sense that we want some guns? We would like to.
Simon's
have a gun.
nodding. You're just accepting that are people being beheaded in the streets of London?
She's talking about the soldier who was killed.
Yeah,
in-
Lee
Yeah.
Rigby.
Yeah.
But you make it sound like
No, but there's
it's going
but-
and
well,
there's
No, but
yesterday
it
there
would-
was 20.
No, but it would be unsettling, and there's that.
It would
There's
be
a, well,
been unsettling.
well, but there's the,
So
the
one person got
Muslim
beheaded.
population. No. But I'm just saying the Muslim population and the not assimilating issue going on there.
Oh, it's huge.
And
Huge.
it's a problem, and it's becoming a little bit scary, and a feeling of I want to protect myself if I need to.
I don't think we really have that feeling as much as what you might hear. I mean,
Okay.
People always say it's my right to bear arms here in America. In England, that's not really, it doesn't really register.
Or if
too
they
much.
say it out loud, then they'll be checked out, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, they're, knife
Are you
violence
hold
and-
on to these
scaring
extreme
me.
beliefs?
No,
You
I
have someone
don't
here
have
from London
no.
telling you, no,
He
Colleen,
doesn't even live
there
there
aren't
anymore.
secret guns and people being beheaded.
No, I
But you can go on the internet and find all these facts that you want to scare
No,
yourself
I don't
with.
look up facts.
Yeah,
I'd heard it, and I just was.
something
That's
to
why I
do.
asked if it was true. I just find it hard to believe that if you want them, you can't get them.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
people
you
just
can-
don't-
absolutely.
And
I mean,
just
there
don't
are-
say anything because they don't want to deal with the government up in their business.
Yeah, there are elements of the organised criminals and just low-level street criminals that carry guns, but they're few and far between.
Right.
And compared to actual,
And part of it is because
citizens
it's
having them.
difficult to get out of the
Yes.
gate.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, if you take here, I can remember my wife one time I found in a handbag, she had some pepper spray that said, it was called freeze spray or something. And I chuckled to myself because in England, that's actually classed as a firearm. If you're over 21, first conviction of having pepper spray, it's possible, in theory, for you to go to prison for 5 years. Very rarely happens because you need various different circumstances, but pepper spray is outlawed. So our legislation is so tight that it actually makes it difficult that you're going to scare people. You could almost be a policeman and say, Chuck, you can shoot me now, but you're going to go to prison for a very long time. Maybe just stab me in Z or just punch me and run away. So, you don't tend to
Go
see
old school, would
Well,
you?
I think that would be smart too for us to do here is when you do have a gun crime, a felony, you do have mandatory sentences, which I don't think we back up very well.
Yeah.
And so that's where it kind of just keeps
But
perpetuating.
the problem, I think, and I could be wrong as well,
yes, you're right.
the resistance to any sort of don't take the gun away from my hands, the resistance is so idiotic. It's just...
People consider it a fundamental right. It's part of our Bill of Rights.
And we've been brainwashed in this Wild West John Wayne mentality, chest beating, mouth breathing. We got to be strong. Australia, they had their massacre and they outlawed guns.
Well, their gun, they
that
own
was the
guns
same
at just the same rate as before that. They had the buyback program,
But
but
see,
they still have
you're
it.
saying that again, and I don't know
It
that.
is true.
He just told you your other thing
not-
isn't true, though.
I asked him. I didn't say it was true. But I know this is. But I've... Well,
Yeah,
just
and I
because...
think... Let me play mediator here.
Thank you. This has been happening a lot this
She
week.
believes Australia still has the
He's
same
gonna
amount
say
of
the F word
guns.
pretty soon. I feel it. I feel it.
Colleen, tell me if I'm wrong. You believe that, yes, Australia kicked ass after that massacre, said never again.
Right.
Horrible.
Right.
Guns are outlawed. And you said your belief is there's the same amount of guns.
Now
They're
that-
just now hiding them in their house.
Well, they had a buyback program.
Yes.
And so they bought them back.
So some guns came back.
Right.
So
And there was numbers shown, and I can look it up.
that
I don't have a computer in front of me, but that the numbers are pretty close to what they were beforehand.
gun
Gun
ownership
ownership,
is the same.
Right, or close to.
And I imagine
think-
ammunition must become more difficult. As those guns become outlaws, you then can't start importing whatever ammunition
Right.
you need or to buy. So
Right. Well, and I think
But
it's
the
we're in
massacre
a-
stopped, though,
we're
and you
in
can
a-
track it back
but
to
considering
that.
how many people are gun owners in this country, lots.
Yeah.
And I would say 98%, 99% are law-abiding, no issues problem.
Yeah.
It's the fringe weirdos that get hold of them. But and I get what you're saying. I'm not like this. I don't own a gun. I'm not comfortable with guns. I'm not. So I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just trying to be practical and what works.
Colleen, check out my guns.
The gun show. You're like, been working out, been push-ups before the show. But go ahead. You found something?
Sorry, February 20th, SBS.com. I don't know what special broadcasting service, which sounds like it might be.
I think
the
it's
problem
real.
with
It's
the
real.
part
It's
of the
real.
BBC.
Bob, leave me alone. I'm updating my website.
They're saying that gun numbers are back to what they were. Australia's leading gun control expert is in Baltimore, Maryland, to contribute recommendations on how the U.S. can control guns. But
Well, then why did it stop then? Why did it stop?
at that time, 1 million guns went to the smelter after the massacre. Smelter.
Yay.
In fact, our research shows that a huge number of Australian gun owners give up their guns for no compensation at all. Remember, there were 38, blah, blah, blah. Over the last 10 years, the importation of firearms has built up again, and now I know from customs figures that we already have replaced 1 million guns in Australia. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, for me, my mind, on the sort of proactive security side, it's not so much the actual physical gun itself. If someone wants to own 50, 60 guns, I'm fine with that. When I moved here, I'd never really shot any gun. I'd never shot a handgun before.
The pussiest cop ever.
Well, after spending 14 years, well, yeah, maybe. And then I came here and brought a shotgun. But if you then said to me, okay, Simon, you own a shotgun, we need to say, have you ever been arrested or convicted of a criminal offence? Yep, by all means, you can check my record. What's your mental stability like? Where's it going to be stored? Those are the type of measures which are going to stop these issues and some of these incidents from happening, as opposed to someone just can't own 60 guns. I think everything comes down to what's the mindset of the individual.
Right.
You could all have loaded guns here now. If you've got no intent on killing me, I don't need to worry about the guns that are on the table. So
you hit on an
just
important
unload
part.
your gun.
Yeah, thank you. So we've talked about this before, but it's a social problem. I think our right to bear arms, agree or disagree, is fundamental. It's our Second Amendment, right after freedom of speech, right to own guns.
Look that up too. There were Supreme Court justices as recent as the Reagan administration said that's not what the Second Amendment says.
And that's what I was just getting at.
It said it'll never be reinterpreted to be the way it is interpreted now.
That's what I'm getting at. Let me finish. So it's fundamental. It's our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. But what we argue about in this country is the semantics of firearms, what's meant by that, and by to bear them, what's meant by that. And that's changed a lot. That's what we need to revisit and come up with an answer.
So it's kind of like putting the toothpaste back in the tube at this point, because you're at the, there's just so many guns. Let's not be like pie in the sky, Pollyanna. The guns are there.
Right.
So then take them away from the law-abiding people that you're not going to hear about having issues. Guess who's just going to be left with them? The criminals and the nutcases. Yeah.
It won't happen overnight. It will take years and years, maybe a decade or more before it has an impact.
Right.
Yeah, well, because, as you said, ammunition will be harder to come by. Guns themselves will be harder to come by.
That the criminal element will spike, because then it becomes a whole new thing to
They're
sell.
making money
and
off
making
it.
Money.
Throw money into
And if you want to talk about what was meant by, if we want to really make this a really hot button topic, you got to be careful when you say that's not what they meant about the Second Amendment, because Roe v. Wade also was what they used as a right to privacy. That wasn't really what it meant, and even liberal justices will say it was a long shot that passed. You got right. I mean, things happen, and that's the way it is. And
well, I want to get your take on arming law enforcement in England, because that's happening more and more, especially after the killing we talked about, which Rusty's so angry that you mentioned. But
no. You see, I want to be clear.
I'm just being chippy with you.
That's not what I'm angry about.
I
hadn't heard that there was a guy beheaded in the streets of London. When did that happen?
Throat slash.
About
he wasn't fully beheaded.
A year ago.
It's a part
maybe two.
It's a soldier who's run over.
Yeah. Okay, I did hear that. Yeah. But what it sounded like was saying was that's an epidemic.
No, I had seen this one girl does this thing she goes back to her town in England, and the Muslim population, and they're not assimilating. There's a lot of tension going on there, and
I've seen it.
It's changing the face of the England. It's different.
There's demonstrations every week. Every time I've been in London, there's demonstrations.
And to put it in perspective, England is a melting pot of various different cultures.
It's full of Muslims.
They'll never be president.
Before I get booked for a podcast again, I actually need to make sure I understand what the topics are. I've been a bit uncomfortable now.
Oh, don't worry, it always changes.
But it is important to know that 9 times out of 10, all the nationalities that have merged in England are good, hard-working people. It's the small minority that always spoil it.
I love London. I used to go like 6 times a year. But then recently on 60 Minutes, they had the profile, or they did a story on a guy. There's a lot of terrorist hate speech going on in recruiting, and they can't seem to find a way to kick him out or stop this from happening.
Yeah, and those type of things very, really difficult. I mean, as Chuck mentioned earlier, you go on Twitter and you find someone who's got extremist views, and they'll have 40, 50,000 followers. And it's, like I said, it comes down to who are the mindset of these people that are actually starting to follow them. What's the breakdown? I spend a lot of time being bored at home, reading up on terrorism, reading up on different things. And, Al-Shabaab, if you look at Al-Shabaab, the Somali terror cell, meaning the youth, large parts of that, the Somali culture has issues with no father figures in their relationships. If those are some of the things that allow these kids to be indoctrinated, the fact that there's not a father just saying, knock it off, or, let's go and do this. So I look at it around what's making these people surge towards these type of organizations.
Two things. That's an issue here, just in our society, is the fatherless homes, and why crime and gangs is so prevalent, and the gun crime is so high. Second, Al-Shabaab sounds like a really cool 50s doo-wop group.
Yeah. Or they could have a restaurant, shish kebabs, Al-Shabaab shish kebabs. Al-Shabaab shish kebabs. I always thought that if you were a terrorist and you want to make money, you could have a bakery and be the Talibans. Hey-o! No? Am I alone out here? Is this on?
El Cakta. Oh, yummy.
We are coming up on a break. Are you a fan of James Bond?
I love Roger Moore as James Bond.
You do?
Yeah, I love Roger Moore. Favorite.
We're going to talk a bit about Bond. We've got. We're going to hear from Roger Moore. We're going to hear from. Oh my gosh, Sean Connery talking about Daniel Craig, even Timothy Dalton. We've got the new song for James Bond. The movie comes out tomorrow. Already opened #1 movie ever in England. And then a little bit of Justin Timberlake from last night's CMAs. And Elvis Presley on this day in history made history. You've heard the phrase Elvis has left the building, right? You heard that?
I have.
And now it becomes a bit. You just use it in whatever kind of
I do that every time I leave a room. Every day.
Elvis has left the building.
Elvis left the building, by the way.
I did not
Kids.
know this. In 1971, on this day, that phrase began here at the Mets Stadium.
Really?
Elvis was kicking off a 14-city tour, and one of his guys in the crew, who wasn't the announcer, got... well, I'll let Elvin tell you. Elvin has gone away, but through the magic of the internet, here's the story on how Elvis left the building. Hold on.
Elvin Irby.
1971.
Well, I had done everything on the show, but I hadn't announced. We were opening in Minneapolis on a tour. Colonel Parker comes over to me. He says, Al, this is so-and-so. Tell him about our concessions. Tell him about our whole operation, our security. He'll announce the show on this tour. So I helped the guy out. The guy announces the opening show in Minneapolis. Parker comes over. He said, get rid of him. Get him off the stage. Pay him. Put him on something else. I do not want him at the microphone.
He's got a fupa.
I said, what's wrong? He says, Al, he doesn't fit our show.
He's Burl
I said,
Ives
you hired
stunt
him.
double.
I said, what are we doing for an announcer for the rest of the tour? He said, I have a replacement. I said, who? He says, you. I said, look, I've done everything else for you, but I'm not a qualified announcer. Don't make a fool of me. Al, he says, who's the boss? I said, you're the boss. He said, then you're the announcer. So I went down to the dressing room, locked the door, looked in the mirror, and I'm talking to myself. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing's coming out right. The following night,
Nope.
I
Except
walked
for
on
the
stage,
saliva.
I got as far
It's
as,
all coming out.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Elvis Presley Show. As I said that, goddamn lights go out, spotlights in my eye, I can't see a damn thing. We're towards the end of the show, and Elvis is finishing his last number. I went to Colonel Parker. I said, what do I do now when he jumps off the stage? He said, just tell him that he's gone. That's it. So Elvis runs out to the limo. He's on his way out with the gang. I went to the microphone. I said, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has left the building. Thank you and good night.
And there you go. That happened in 1971 right here.
Did you pre-screen that?
That
was maybe
need to be cut down.
Yeah,
a little
maybe.
bit.
Could we cut that down to half a second?
That's a long
I just kept
story.
wanting to clear my throat.
Sorry. All right, let's take a break.
The Twin Cities Hit Show. We'll be right back.
Third Street Brewhouse, built on a perfect site in Cold Spring, Minnesota, combining the state-of-the-art brewing facility with exceptional water. Hello, did we mention Cold Spring, Minnesota? They have a dream team of world-class brewers, resulting in unprecedented crafted beers. The core styles of Bitter Black IPA, Lost Trout Brown Ale, and Rise to the Top Cream Ale are intriguing yet satisfying. And look forward to seasonal and specialty beers. Nothing fancy, no fuss. It's all about the beer at Third Street Brewhouse. MacMen. Don't let your computer problems drive you mad. We are MacMen, Minnesota's premier tech consultants and problem solvers for Macs, mobile devices, troubleshooting, training, and much more. No more dragging your computer all over town because we come to you. We love making house calls to your home or small business. MacMen. Call 612-345-8005.
The Rusty Gatenby Review is the entertaining show about entertainment from movies, music, and more. Award-winning TV guy Rusty Gatenby and his review is the podcast with the biggest cast in entertainment, part of the Alive and Social Network. You can get that Minnesota connection to Hollywood and beyond any time of the day or night simply by clicking on the RustyGatenbyReview.com. That's the RustyGatenbyReview.com, part of the Alive and Social Network.
Introducing the Twin Cities' newest transportation app, Cruise. C-R-U-Z, with no surge pricing ever.
Cruise to that brewery.
Cruise to that concert.
Cruise to that ball game.
Cruise home from that party.
I like Tom Cruise.
No kidding.
I do.
Sensing a pattern? Cruise. That's C-R-U-Z, the new app that saves you money with no surge pricing ever. Book in advance and save even more with Cruise. Download the Cruise app. Follow him on Twitter @TimeToCruise to get weekly ride discounts.
Whenever you booze, use Cruise.
Download Cruise right now on iOS or Android.
You're listening to the Twin Cities Hit Show. Say it 3 times fast. We just dare you.
Baby, what you doing now? You're pissing me off.
We get heated on this show every time we bring up guns and Chuck. Those two topics, we got to stop. How was your birthday, by the way?
I had a wonderful day. I got a massage. I went to Mancini's. I got a new gun. I pointed at a lot of people.
Did you get the gun with a bank account, maybe?
Yeah. I
got a haircut.
I did get my hair cut.
Did you went to Mancini's?
Mancini's.
Did you tell them that they need to sponsor the show?
I thought they did.
Actually, I talked to Pat. I talked to Pat a lot last night. I should have.
Supposedly, that might be happening. We can't say anything right now about it because there are negotiations.
I
won't say anything.
We don't mention that Mancini's and this show might be doing something.
Our legal team is working on it.
Cool.
Sammy, you got something you wanted to mention though before the show runs out of steam here.
I've been spending the last sort of 6-9 months talking to various different churches and places of worship on security. And basically, what I've devised is taking all my experiences from law enforcement in private security. I've designed a church security program, which I actually call CSAT, Church Security Awareness Training. And it's a 6-module class which takes church security members from what is suspicious activity to how to identify it, how to interact with the person, and then how to respond. So I'm quite excited about it. There's lots of people I'm talking to about making sure that they're aware of the program and how to train it. So it's very, very useful in prevalent in today's world.
And that's happening. Churches are having security issues here in Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say security issues. What I say is security awareness.
Yes.
All these things about identifying the threat before it takes place.
Okay.
The sad events that we see in Charleston. There's a black guy. A white guy walks into a black church. People should be asking themselves, not in a racism question, but surrounding, what's that person doing here? Does he fit with the environment? It's 90 degrees outside. Someone walks in with 3 coats. We should be asking in 2015 those type of questions. Our brain should be recognizing this might be out of the norm, and then the program I've designed is going to help people try and identify and how to respond to some of those threats.
And if Ben Carson's your student, he would organize everyone to rush at that person.
So
let's all go.
Yeah, I don't know Ben Carson too much. I suspect, is he potentially the second black American president? Is that who he might be?
Yeah. And in his thing is if there's a shooter, everyone should band together and on the count of 3, go overpower the person.
Well, and I mean, I don't know too much about who he is, but
is that a good technique if you've got a hostage situation?
What I would actually say is, my personal opinion, I would say yes, because the statistics are showing. You can look up now. Go and look on the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security website. The average active shooter is 5, 6, 7 minutes, and those people that survive, it used to be run, hide, and then fight. Mm-hmm. But the people that survive an active shooter, the ones that have actually have done fight first, try and one person's there with a gun, whatever, or a weapon. 20, 30 people try and merge them at once. Those people statistically tend to survive longer. So on what he's saying there, I would agree with him.
Wow.
That's what we talked about when it came up too. And I said I see what he's saying. It makes complete sense.
He just wasn't articulate and saying.
Crappy orator.
In his story that he relays at the Popeyes, he didn't even do that. He said, "Go shoot the other guy."
Not me.
Yeah, you don't want me. You want him over there.
Well, start with deflection. Work your way into help.
I would like to believe that if I was in a situation, I would have the courage to try and do that and to go, okay, I'm probably going to die here, but this is wrong and I got to do something. However, you just don't know.
Yeah.
how you or anyone else will actually react in that
and
situation.
large parts of this is about, training. I mean, one of the elements that I built at, I used to spend many years investigating organised crime, and I would sit across the table with someone who's running a multi-million-dollar, enterprise, who doesn't want to give away what they've been doing. But the style of questions that you ask them, most people, and when you go to Great Clips and you walk in and they say, welcome to Great Clips, how can I help you today? Well, you're there for a haircut. You're there for a haircut.
Yeah.
But they've asked you that question to engage you in conversation. So the muscle memory of asking somebody people these questions, welcome to Simon's Christian Church. What brings you to the church today?
Gotcha.
That answer is going to cause me
I want a haircut.
But it's cool. The point is, it's causing you to give an answer as opposed to say, well, I'm just, if you give them a yes, no.
Shoot people.
That's a brilliant, that's a good starter for 10, that is.
I know what I would do. My technique would be to distract him by going, look at the urine stain that's growing in my crotch, look!
What's that smell?
During that distraction, I'd make my move.
Unfortunately, I know exactly how I would react in that situation. It would probably involve climbing over people and using small children as body armor.
They make the best because you can hold them right over your torso.
So the Uber guy who beat the hell out of the Uber driver, and now he's showing up on camera out in, I think it's Los Angeles. I could be wrong. Is it San Francisco? It's out west somewhere. Did you see that story? The Uber driver? And Ubers don't have a separation, so it's just their own personal car.
Yeah.
So when you're taking strangers in the back seat, recipe potential for disaster.
Yeah.
Well, this guy got the crap beat out of him by some drunk guy who couldn't give him the address on his phone, swore he did. He was a marketing executive for Taco Bell. He got fired. But now he's apologizing, saying that's not how I normally am. Surprise.
It's not me. Yeah, I'm giving you in the video. It's not me. And,
it is.
Figuratively.
It was hard to watch, and I'm ashamed.
He says he lost count of how many drinks he had that night. Moments before the attack, the video shows him falling over in the back seat and arguing with his driver.
Get out of my car or I will call the police.
It's when he's ordered out of the car that Golden snaps.
Can I tell you something, you little shit? I'm not one to get in fights. I think a lot of people that I know were shocked by what they saw.
Driver Edward Caban used pepper spray to defend himself. He says he's afraid of Golden and has no intention of meeting him for an apology.
Call the police!
He says that's not him, but that's the only him that I know. That wasn't him, but it was him who had the first drink. And in the end, it was
I want to punch him in the head now after hearing him say that.
Beat me.
Golden was arrested shortly after he left the car.
So the next day, I got out of jail. And I was wondering, what happened. I didn't know what happened until I saw this video. And then my heart sank.
Google
your name. No longer a Taco Bell marketing executive. They fired him on Tuesday.
Taco John's
and he's now facing 4 misdemeanor charges, including assault and battery, and could spend a year in jail.
And I've worked so hard, and I had a stupid night that is my fault. And I've thrown everything away.
I don't know whether he was crying because he was so shocked that it went viral.
These two, can you picture the fight?
Oh my God.
Caban is suing for at least $25,000 for assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Let's jump this.
$2 million, man. $2 million.
Deep pockets.
And I think that's the only thing I can do,
I don't know who I hate more in this story.
I want to see these two fighting.
Everybody.
I think as they do the windmill on each other, they did entangle and it would just go
It was like a
two
slap
deer.
fight to begin with. He was open hands slapping his
You
head.
stop. You stop.
No, if you see the
stop.
video, the driver is totally innocent. He may sound annoying.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying now I want to punch him.
I feel bad for him, but I don't like him.
Yeah. I feel less bad about him getting punched in the head, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, good luck with having a future life there, guy.
Oh,
Donald Trump's scheduled to hit Saturday Night Live.
What do we do? We fight back! Wednesday night, Latino groups delivered a petition to NBC Studios calling on SNL to fire the billionaire.
SNL should know better. NBC should know better. And bottom line is that as an undocumented immigrant, all I want to do is to contribute to my community.
It's the latest in a dump Trump movement that's inspired everything from ads to impassioned speeches on Capitol Hill.
When public figures cross certain lines, they should lose their privileges to host TV shows.
But Trump
Saturday Night Live
doesn't seem fazed.
I get the highest ratings ever. They don't cave. Why would they cave?
In a series of promos, he poked fun at himself and his rivals.
Because of equal time rules for television, Mr. Trump can only speak for 4 seconds in this promo.
So let me just say this. Ben Carson is a complete and total loser.
Ben Carson, who's leading in some polls, wasn't laughing.
I discovered when I was in grade school
that
Dynamic.
those tactics really are for grade school.
Those numbers are going to be huge Saturday
And I'll tell
night.
you what, the thing is, Trump comes out a winner. The people protesting,
Right.
NBC is the bad guys in this because they were all going to take the high ground and we're going to cut ties with him and fire him from The Apprentice and then the beauty pageant. But now they see the dollar signs, and that's what the bottom line is. And it wasn't any principle.
Well, I imagine Trump is mostly resonating with a lot of our younger voters. Those idiots that we've been talking about that just follow terrorism. Those people are just following Trump. He's just someone who's got lots of money.
I think
just
that he's
being crazy.
appealing to older voters actually because they are so tired of the polished political speak, and they love that he talks crazy and well, what I say crazy, but they look at it as no nonsense and cuts to the chase.
Yeah, it's easy to say, and everyone will have a unicorn, and I'm going to, Putin, I'm going to make him my bitch.
Right.
I mean, you can't just make statements. But yeah, my dad, being an older voter, that was the one moment on our fishing trip when I went, what? Yeah, he speaks the, I like him. He's got that. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and it happens every single politician when they're talking. You're like, okay, yeah, right, right. And what do you really mean? So I think the older people are like, yeah, I like knowing what kind of crazy I'm getting.
Yeah, what kind of crazy I'm getting.
Hey, Elvin Dorn invented Elvis Has Left the Building. Do you want to hear that story again?
Yeah.
Yes, please. That sounds great.
The Peanuts are hitting the big screen this weekend. James Bond we'll talk about in a second here, but it's Minnesota's own. Charles M. Schultz grew up in Minnesota, and the movie is getting great reviews. It looks awesome. The cast and the director were in town, and Steve Martini, I spoke to the director, and when you watch the movie or the old TV shows, you're seeing Minnesota scenery, and he explains.
I'm from the Midwest. When I grew up, I skated on the frozen skating pond. I live on a lake that freezes every winter. Yeah, this is like returning to their home. I had a chance 2 years ago to drive around St. Paul and find those neighborhoods. My gosh, those homes are still there. Those little three-step walk-ups that Charles Schultz drew. The people of St. Paul and of the Twin Cities get to claim Charlie Brown as their hometown guy, and in the movie they're going to see their hometown.
For me, it's been a long road. The idea.
Oh, anyway, that's Craig Schultz.
He used to live. Did Schultz live over O'Gara's? Is that true?
Maybe.
I always heard that there wasn't O'Gara's maybe a barber shop at one time. What was it? It wasn't.
F. Scott Fitzgerald as well lived in an apartment in St. Paul.
I always
don't know
thought
if
it was over O'Gara's, but I could be wrong.
Don't know.
You brought up that the voice of Charlie Brown has come into bad times. And you've also pointed out there's been many voices. The voice of this new Charlie Brown, he's okay. He's a cute kid. But, of course, us growing up with the original Charlie Brown.
I'm in sad shape. Wait a minute. Before you begin, I must ask that you pay in advance. 5 cents, please.
So let's listen to this voice of Charlie.
Boy, what a sound. How I loved hearing that.
Now we're hearing Lucy.
That beautiful sound of cold hard.
And then I'll...
Beautiful, beautiful sound.
This guy's name is Charlie Robinson? No.
Clinking nickels.
What is his name?
All right now. What
Peter
seems to be your
Robinson.
trouble?
Here he is.
I feel depressed. I know I should be happy, but I'm not. Well,
That's the voice who did Charlie Brown Christmas, It's the Great Pumpkin, and a couple other ones. And then they replaced him in the 70s with this voice. The new
Charlie Brown, now Charlie Brown.
Lucy again.
Oh, it's Lucy.
I can't believe it. She must think I'm the most stupid person alive.
Different. Not bad. Anyway, so here's how he sounds now when he's in court.
The actor who, as a child, voiced the character Charlie Brown is being evaluated for mental competency.
Aww.
Peter Robbins went on a tirade in court on Friday. He was shouting obscenities at the judge and the prosecutor. Take a look.
I'm withdrawing my guilty plea.
Good luck on that, Mr. Robbins.
Good luck to you.
Have a nice
I hope
day.
you drop dead of a heart attack.
It's Charlie Brown.
My goodness, this went on and on. 2 years ago,
Wouldn't it be better if the judge went?
I know.
Poor Charlie. Anyway, the new movie is by the guy who did Ice Age and Rio, and it looks great. And if you got kids, it's rated G.
Right.
How many rated G
None.
movies are there anymore?
The kids would be like, "Where is the violence? This movie sucks."
But
Dad."
there's a lot of visual, and they kind of give. They have the same style, but they give them texture, like a close up.
Isn't it 3D?
Yes, it's in 3D.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So like the close-ups of Snoopy's drawn the same way, but you actually
You see his blackheads.
tufts of fur on him. You know,
Oh.
whereas before it was very flat.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the style was what was
You
cool.
can see
but
the ticks and fleas.
Yeah.
yes, you
Let's
see
not
the
talk about ticks. I'm
and
dying.
Please, yeah. But all right, James Bond opened to $80 million last weekend in London, which is a record.
Have you seen it yet?
I did. I saw it last night.
And
Which is only 30 pounds. $80 million.
Is that right? I love Daniel Craig. I loved Skyfall, the biggest one so far.
here it comes.
I loved Skyfall.
But
I love Skyfall. Spectre is the new one. I'll be reviewing it tomorrow on Mid-Morning with Jason DeRusha, WCCO.
Teaser.
spoiler alert. Yep.
What I did like about it is there is a lot of tip of the hat to the Sean Connery movies and the history of Bond. They do recognize a lot of that. There's a great attempt to make the 4 Daniel Craig movies a sequel. Like they've said, how can we make all this tie together?
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of it was like, I like Skyfall. It's Bond, though, man. It's Bond. It's still an awesome experience to go, and I went with my son because it's PG-13. Here's Sean Connery first talking about Roger Moore. Your favorite Bond is?
Roger Moore for me. Yeah.
Why?
Just because I like he's a very unassuming guy, very suave, sophisticated, but he can kick ass if he needs to. That's what I like about him.
How about you guys?
Gun owner, by the way.
James Bond?
Mine is, of course, the first one. The Sean Connery. He's just a handsome devil.
I'd go with Mike Myers. Oh, wrong movie. No, I'd Sean Connery.
That was Austin Powers.
Yeah. I love Sean Connery. Yeah.
I like Sean Connery as well, but I really love how Daniel Craig has brought it to modern times. So my favorite right now for me would be Daniel Craig.
He's not conventionally
Skyfall?
handsome either.
He was in Skyfall, which I love.
Did you like that?
It's the best one, the most profitable one so far. Here's Sean Connery first talking about Roger Moore.
Roger, which I think he may have inherited in part from after Diamonds Are Forever, where they were already getting into that area of too much hardware, that was more important, and his is a sort of parody of the character, as it were, in that situation, so that you will go for the laugh or the humor at whatever the cost of the credibility or the reality. I think that's just basically the difference. And
for example,
now he talks about Daniel Craig.
It's a spectrum of actors.
And there's 10 years between these interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, from myself to Daniel Craig, who I thought was fantastic, marvelous in the book. And the danger element, I think he really gets it.
My first Bond movie at the theater was Roger Moore, Live and Let Die. So I fell in love with Roger Moore. But then when I rediscovered the Sean Connery movies, I was like, oh, yeah. He used to be a little cooler.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton was Bond for just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
But he's pleased to be part of the legacy.
Well, 25 years ago when I did it, it's special to be part of something that's lasted 50 years. They have always strived to make them striven, I suppose the word is not striven. Striven.
What is it?
I think it's strove.
Awfully posh. Timothy Dalton.
Not simply to exploit the name or the history. They've always tried to make them as good as they can possibly be. And I think that's to be applauded, and I respect that enormously. And I like them very much. They're terrific people. Yeah. And
all right, here's Roger Moore.
He's tough.
Oh, Roger Moore talking about his opinion of Daniel Craig.
He's tough. I was a lover. He's a killer.
Pierce Brosnan.
They're
finally.
all foreign. None of them were American, were they?
Yeah, they're England. James Bond's English.
I know, but they can. You can pretend.
Fake it.
I can do that.
Oh, hello,
very well.
Governor.
You cheeky monkey. Hi, Simon.
Rusty Gateby. Pierce had a bit of a difficulty with it because he was basically fired from the Bond franchise.
He's handsome, though.
As opposed to Daniel Craig is saying he wants to throw in the towel. Pierce
Why was he
asked
fired?
to leave. I'm not sure. He got 4. And they were pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Again, in my opinion, they were getting better and better with the special effects and the storyline. But Pierce had a tough time watching Daniel Craig as Bond.
No. Did you? No, see?
No, I didn't.
I think it's...
I didn't. I tried to watch it on a plane once. It came on, and I thought, okay, 37,000 feet, this is a good distance to watch it from. And I watched it, and it broke down. And then they fixed it, and it broke down a second time. I thought,
you thought it's not meant to be, yeah.
Not meant to be,
That's
it. But I don't watch myself as Bond. And my boys are always saying, Dad, come and watch Bond with me. But I the music comes up, I see myself, and then it's like, I can't. I'm sorry, guys. You're on your own.
Don't people continue to come up to you and say...
Sure. No, they say Bond. They call me out, hey, James, hey, Bond. And I wear it with pride. I had the greatest time in my life making that car. I've been part of that franchise, and it's a small company of men now who played the role. And if you demean it in any way or shame it in any way, then more fool you.
And I love that he's like with his wife. This sounds terrible, but she, you know what I mean?
The Ped Garson syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, she started out very beautiful, and kind
as
of
all you people end up.
Struggled with her weight, and it's just
Struggled with her weight.
Can you stop? I'm trying to be nice and diplomatic here, but
it's throwing me off. I don't even know how to. I don't know who you are.
Who are you? Yeah.
So they started the movie with the music video, Sam Smith's.
I don't like the song.
Yeah, I've not heard the song. Is
Yeah,
it
but-
good? Yeah, I've
I'm
heard
not
it's
a
really
fan of
bad.
him.
Listen. Do we want an emo Bond?
Yes. A tranny Bond.
Yeah.
I don't want to shoot you. Please stop.
Shoot me now.
And I always get away.
It's kind of cool.
No. No, it's not.
They used a couple of James Bond chords, which is cool. Now, here's what I found, because they're already doing covers. Take away the male voice and put her in a female voice, and it sounds so much better. Like, I loved Adele's Skyfall song. Damage, I like Skyfall.
Yeah.
So here's a chick singing it. She won, like, England's Got Talent. Makes it different.
I've been here before.
It's not an emo guy.
No, I like it better.
It's a chick.
But always hit the floor.
Right? Better?
Yeah,
No?
much better.
Spent
Still don't like it.
a lifetime
But better.
running, and I always get away. But
I
with
like
you,
it.
I'm feeling something.
Kind of sounds like
Makes
Rihanna.
me wanna stay.
All right, one last one. Here's a guy with, it sounds more like a guy singing it. The internet does...
Elvis has left the building, guy.
No, yes. Maybe my problem, I think Sam Smith is a cool singer, and I like some of his stuff, but I just don't know if it works for a Bond theme. But here's a dude. It's still kind of emo.
Still a bit soft.
Yeah.
But always hit the floor.
Anyway, I'm sure it'll be big. It opens this weekend. Go see James Bond, Spectre. Christoph Waltz is the villain, and in my opinion, you got to have a great villain to make a good Bond movie.
What's his name in the movie?
He's Blofeld. With the, I don't want a spoiler alert. Do you remember Telly Savalas? And he was Blofeld, I believe, and so was he was the detective in the first Halloween.
Oh,
The bald guy.
Yeah.
I think he was Blofeld as well. You know, Austin Powers spoofs him with the white cat.
Yes.
Yeah, the white cat is in this
Oh,
movie.
okay.
So they do a lot of good throwbacks to the original Bond. We're going to close with last night in the CMAs, Justin Timberlake came on stage.
Oh, it's Country Music Awards season.
This is Chad Harrington. This is his song.
Look who was the only love I'd known.
I like good country music. This guy's got the hair and the beard, and he's not a pretty boy.
But you rescued me from reaching for the
And I guess it was a surprise, and it's blowing up on the internet that Justin Timberlake came out and did some country. Do you guys like country music? Well, you had a cowboy hat
I
on.
like country music. I like old guys sat on a porch, guitar, that sort of country music.
So this is Justin now trying to sing country.
Strawberry wine.
It's not bad.
He's talented. I mean, you can't take that from him.
No, that's Chris. But Justin sings.
Chris who?
What is his name?
Chris Brown?
No, I'll get it. I'm telling you, the internet's going crazy on it. Hold on a second. Had a huge band. This is Justin.
This has more of a blues.
Chris Stapleton.
This is like traditional country. That's what they've turned it into. They've turned country into like poppy stuff, and I can't stand that. It's just disgusting. I like the old stuff. Just
Yeah, this is more blues.
yeah.
That's still cool, though. All right, so what's going on this weekend?
What is going on this weekend? Big show in Michigan for me. That's all I got.
Nothing until next week at the joke joint.
I'm going to the opening of Sister Act at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater tonight. Hopefully that's good. They always put on a hell of a production. We will have the owner of the Chanhassen Dinner Theater and director Michael Brindisi coming on next week, so that's good. Then we got the host of Apples to Apples coming on Tuesday. They have a hugely popular podcast on this network. On this very network. It's like the runaway hit. So we're going to find out how the hell to get a runaway hit. What's a guy got to do to get a hit show at
They
this
kind of
network?
look at me like...
And Simon, how can people get a hold of you? We're going to link up his info, right?
Yeah, my website is kingswoodsc.com, Kingswood Security Consultant, or I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and just find it by your website.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to come. Hopefully I've mediated some of the conversation. If I added worth to today's...
We almost always get divorced every show.
Have a good weekend, everybody. It's the Twin Cities Hit Show. We will see you on Monday.
Tennessee whiskey.